And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we're going to be looking at the huge injury update for the Washington Commanders as they get a star to come off of the injury report. We're also going to be looking at a key for the Washington Commanders defensively that they are going to have to do in order to get this win against the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship. And so let's start with the most recent injury update around the Washington Commanders. And we get some great news here that Bobby Wagner is off of the Commanders' injury report. He had been out of practice there the last couple of days, so that is some good news. And we also see that Daron Payne is still listed as questionable with a knee and a thumb injury, and that is something to definitely monitor as the Washington Commanders get ready to go into this game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And so let's start with Bobby Wagner and also to Daron Payne and just really this defense and really one of the keys that they are going to have to really utilize in this game. And so, with Bobby Wagner and then also to Frankie Louvu, Daron Payne, and some of these players up front for the Washington Commanders, I think that they are going to have to get some pressure onto Jalen Hurts. I think that is certainly going to be a point of emphasis in this game. And so as I looked at their injury report, it looks like that Jalen Hurts is definitely trending towards playing, which is really not any new news. He had said that after the game that they played against the Rams. But if you got a chance to look at it, he actually went down with a knee injury. And I think after that, Jalen Hurts didn't really necessarily move the same way out there. And I think for the Washington Commanders, they have to find out early what type of mobility that Jalen Hurts has. Because if Jalen Hurts is not very mobile and he's pretty much going to be a stationary passer, then that I think gives the Washington Commanders an advantage there. Because first and foremost, you know that he can't get out of the pocket and escape. So then that means that you're going to force him now to really throw into the strength of the Washington Commanders defense, which is going to be their pass defense. Their pass defense in the season was ranked number 3. And so I think personally, since Marshawn Lattimore has come back, I think that rating is probably even better. And I think that now, if you can get Jalen Hurts into a point where now he's throwing the football, that suggests that the Washington Commanders will have an advantage there. Because right now, as we look at this, at the time of this recording, with Jalen Hurts, he's been under 180 yards 6 of his last 7 games and just really struggled throwing the football down the field. In fact, in 2 playoff games that he's played, 128 and 131 in these 2 playoff games. And then, with A.J. Brown and then also to Devontae Smith, they've really struggled to get these players going. I'm not sure if A.J. Brown is necessarily healthy as well. I know he was kind of dealing with some things, but like I said before, if you get some good pressure up front from, Dorrance Armstrong, you get the pressure up front from Daron Payne, and then hopefully Clelin Ferrell, some of these players that we are going to need up front to really just apply pressure. And I'm saying like natural pressure. I don't know if we're necessarily calling blitz, but just pressuring Jalen Hurts, making him move and kind of getting him off the spots. I think that you have a chance to really throw him into some situations where he might throw into some mistakes, because with Mikey Sainristil, I think that he is really he's trending up. I think that he's gotten better each and every week. And I think last week you just see that here's a young man that is very comfortable playing on the outside as a corner now. And I think that he continues to trend up in that position. And then also, too, with Marshawn Lattimore, what was very impressive about that is that he looked a lot better than what he did against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think that when now you put him into the same situation with the weather conditions, it's going to be better than what it was last week in Philadelphia. But I think that if they were to go and try to target Marshawn Lattimore, I'm not sure that they're going to be able to get that type of the type of wins that they did in the last time that Marshawn Lattimore was out there, and he eventually re-aggravated the hamstrings. So I think that the Washington Commanders get a boost there. And then also, too, some of the other players like Jeremy Chin, I think that he's done a terrific job as far as, just being that player that has been back there and been able to be a ball hawk, right? And so I think that you're seeing a little bit more of that between him and Quan Martin. And then also, too, with Noah Inagami, I think that he's definitely going to be a factor in this one. And so, look, that secondary, if they're getting pressure up front, they're going to have to turn into a defense that becomes very optimistic and really going after the football and hopefully generating some turnovers. And so, next up, I think another thing that the Washington Commanders are going to have to do in looking at this game is just they're going to have to win the turnover battle. And so that kind of shifts focus and we look at the offense a little bit here because the last time the Washington Commanders played the Eagles and they won that football game 36-33, we lost the turnover battle. In fact, we gave it up 5 times to the Eagles too. And so, I know that there's a lot of people out there that are saying, okay, well, Jalen Hurts went down via injury. I get it. No problem. But here's the thing. The Eagles defense it's an elite defense, and that did not change what was going on defensively. And the Washington Commanders were able to figure it out, even losing the turnover battle. And so I would say this, that if the Washington Commanders can now minimize the turnovers, which they have continued to do really through these first couple games, if they can do that, I think that now you're putting the Eagles offense into a tough situation and also to their defense, because now I think you're seeing a Washington Commanders team that if the Eagles play them tough and they make them utilize the full field, that's fine. I think that the Commanders can get down the field and certainly score, and they're also taking the clock with them, which is key. Because now, when you look at Saquon Barkley, who we know is going to be, I think, the real X factor in this game, and why this is huge news that you do have Bobby Wagner, and you're having your defense trending in the right direction at this point in time. But you essentially take Saquon Barkley out of the game as a runner, the more clock that you eat up. And so I think that the fact that the Eagles will have to probably play catch up in this game, that could really play a factor into them utilizing Saquon Barkley as a runner. Now, he still is going to be very much involved as a receiver, right? But I think as a runner, which has really been the strong point for the Eagles, this is great for the Washington Commanders. If they can continue to keep the football, you don't turn the football over, and you really work that clock. This helps us out here. And lastly, with Bobby Wagner, and why this is huge for us is because we know that the bottom line here is you are getting a player that has been to the Super Bowl. We get a player that's an all-pro player. We want to get back Daron Payne to go along with Jonathan Allen, who have played great, because it's all about players that, are experienced with us, players that have played well. And I think now you get a chance to get this unit together. They're playing some complementary football, and it's all about just being disciplined. And when you're talking about being disciplined, that means that you need to have your leaders out there. And I've said this before, Bobby Wagner is the QB for the defense out there. And so you have a player that is going to be out there making sure that we're in the right placement, making sure that we're in the right calls, because we know they're going to probably try to hit us with some tempo and things like that. We're going to have to trust that Bobby Wagner is going to have to make those calls for our defense to put them into the right situation. And so we need him out there for the discipline, not just from the play call standpoint, but also too, we've got to make sure that we stay in those positions and those pockets. So when Saquon Barkley tries to catch somebody out of position, we're right there to really stop him, bottle him up, and make it tough on this Eagles offense. And so anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about this most recent injury update around the Washington Commanders. We are almost there as we are trending towards just a day away from Championship Sunday. Cannot wait. We'll be talking a little bit more about just some final keys to the game, some of the things that the Washington Commanders are going to have to do in order to hopefully get past the Eagles and make an appearance in the Super Bowl here. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you're thinking. And as we always say, go Commanders, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.